Yeah, hey, drop.
Prime Coverage Sports Network. Real coverage, real conversation.
Hey, welcome in everybody to this exclusive teaser episode for the upcoming Sports Mayhem morning podcast with myself, Andrew Scheid, and Sal Angioletti. How are we doing today, Sal?
What's going on, Bossman? How's everything?
I'm doing okay, kind of getting ready for World Baseball Classic, which has just kicked off. I watched Australia and Chinese Taipei last night, and I'm planning on watching Australia again tonight.
Nice. I was watching MLB Network earlier today, and the Tokyo Dome had over 40,000 people on a weekday, and Japan wasn't even playing. And that's how big this classic is. It's crazy how these fans from all over the world love the game of baseball. And where does baseball go from here? It's like, we have our London games. You had the Yankees, Red Sox a couple of years back sell out. And we talked about it a while back on my show. And we asked the question, who expands faster if we had to go out to Europe? Would it be baseball or football? And the majority of the people said baseball.
Right. And I really think, to me, baseball is that universal sport where in all parts of the country there's some version of it, right? Yeah. And I think that's just the big draw for baseball. And speaking baseball, I kind of want to tell our stories in this episode. You are really into baseball, Sal. I watched your other show. You sent me an episode, which was a really cool episode. My grandma, as I told you, is actually from the eastern part of Italy.
Yes,
so that was cool to see that. Tell us a little about yourself, Sal.
Yes, good evening, folks. My name is Sal Angioletti. A while back when I went to high school in Brooklyn, Lafayette High School is the high school where Pete Falcone and Johnny Franco attended. So did the ex-Met owner, Fred Wilpon. And that's how, if you notice, Citi Field looks like Ebbets Field. Because
it really does a little bit, yeah.
So Fred Wilpon was a big, the Brooklyn Dodgers were a big thing back in the day. Before LA and the Giants moved to California, they were both New York teams. And hence the Mets colors of blue and orange to pay homage to both the Brooklyn Dodgers and New York Giants. I wanted to play professional baseball. It didn't pan out. And I couldn't sleep one night, and I just got a composition book and was just writing about the Yankees and baseball. And my dad said, "What are you going to do about this?" I said, "I don't know, Dad." So while still working for the New York City Sanitation Department, I still listen to WFAN back here, with Boomer and Geo and all those guys. And I used to listen to the overnight midnight show, and I heard a commercial about the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I went down to try out, got accepted, but didn't go. So when I retired, I went back again and got accepted, didn't go. So I just winged it. A friend, Richie of mine, he's an Elvis tribute artist, was invited to this radio station in Hamilton, New Jersey. It's hamiltonradio.net. It's an internet radio station. And when I walked in, I just looked around and I asked this woman, her name was Jerry Petito. I said, "Did you go to school for this?" She goes, "No, I just winged it." And my light bulb went off. I started doing wrestling at first. I was talking about WWE. I started a wrestling podcast before baseball. And I had Bruce Hart, Bret Hart's brother, on my show, Dangerous Danny Davis. I asked a few wrestlers at the time if they wanted to come on, and they wanted to get paid. And I didn't, wasn't making money to give these guys money to be, come on the show. And so my friend turned around and said, "You're more of a natural talking baseball." I said, that's a catchy title, talking baseball with the ing at the end. And I just threw my name on it, and my dad and I have the same name, and basically dedicated the show to my father, and hence talking baseball with Sal Angioletti, and been doing it since January of 2019.
I mean, that's really cool. And I'm not as experienced as you are, Sal. I'm kind of new to this. I am a graduate of one program and currently enrolled in another program here at Illinois Media School, which used to be Illinois Center for Broadcasting
Okay.
back in the day. And be honest, one of the best broadcasting schools in the country.
Mhm.
I've learned from professional actors. My instructor right now is actually the producer. I don't know if you know the Mully and Hull show for 670 The Score in Chicago, but he's a producer for that show.
Okay.
He's my instructor. So I've learned from some top-notch people, and right now I'm in the sports emphasis program, which I get to do a lot of cool stuff. I get to work the home games for the Windy City Bulls, which is the Chicago Bulls G League affiliate.
Oh, nice.
So I
Nice.
get to see a lot of these guys develop. But one thing that got me into broadcasting was growing up in Chicago. I like to say we were blessed when it comes to broadcasters.
Yes.
We had guys like Jack Brickhouse, Harry Carey,
Oh,
Hawk
Harry's-
Harrelson. You know, we
Harry.
had some big name guys. And one day I was sitting watching a White Sox game, and yes, I'm a White Sox fan. I'm putting that out there. And I was looking at my dad and I said, you know what? There's not a lot of announcers out there that make me excited and wanting to come to the ballpark. And
Mhm.
I always said, I always wanted to be that, fans announcer, and, because I'm
Yeah.
really am just a fan of sports, and I love sports and just everything that encompasses with it.
Yeah.
So that's really what got me into broadcasting, was to just bring back that fan of a broadcaster.
Speaking of being a White Sox fan, and I'm glad you said that. And there is an organization that, I mean, the old Comiskey Park. I'm a stickler of old school. I like the old school ballparks, the cookie cutter stadiums, and a lot of people don't probably remember with the artificial turf back in the day, and like the old Sox Stadium. The White Sox had such an amazing organization back in the day, and had so many really good ball players to come out of Chi-Town. Even the crosstown rival, your Cubbies, but the White Sox being an American League foe of the Yankees, of course. And we were talking about that, I guess, as on the group chat in the Prime Covered Sports Network group chat, and how many
Right.
of these organizations were at the top of their game at one point and just like wilted off. And the White Sox being one of those.
Right, and I agree with you there. After 2005, there's really only been one good season sandwiched in there, and that was 2021, where we ended up winning the division.
Right. And where does it begin, Andrew? I could say that about the Yankees as well, and a lot of the Yankee fans, and I tell them, is that you can't, based upon that 90s winning formula when we had the best team in baseball in 98, winning 125 games, which included the playoffs and World Series. And the problem with the Yankees, I think, stems in the front office with the GM, with Brian Cashman. You can't go by that old formula no more. Let's see these kids develop. Let's bring these kids up, like Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones and all these other guys. And the Yankees had depleted their farm system at one time. They were right up there with the Atlanta Braves of some of the best organizations, bringing up younger talent.
Right.
Well,
And
what happened with the White Sox? Where does it begin in Chicago? And what are they doing? And recently had some of the best players on the field not long ago.
Right. And I think that's what has been the consensus this year on the south side of Chicago. Um, they're basically our manager said, I myself am done with the rebuild. I'm ready for this team to compete. And
Yeah.
and I see it in spring training, right?
Okay.
What I love is they put together a very young core of guys.
Mhm.
And I'm really excited to see what a guy like Colson Montgomery can do with a full season. Because when you can hit 22 bombs with half a season, I want to see what you can do with the full season.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. And it's good thing that you bring up the Yankees, because one thing I do want to talk about, because we're kind of going mayhem all over the place with this teaser episode. It was announced a little while ago that the Yankees are going to be retiring CC Sabathia's number.
Yeah, I saw that, and a lot of Yankee fans. I think not just Yankee fans. There were some sports writers and sports announcers, broadcasters like we are. That okay? What are the Yankees doing with all these retired numbers? Why? If the Jeter and then I don't know if they did Posada yet, but what's going on? You had, and if you look out left center field by Monument Park and the retired numbers and the aura of the Yankee organization, the who's who of professional baseball, like Yogi and Whitey Ford and Mick and all these other guys. What are they doing? I mean, how much can we do? Is it a okay? We're the Yankees, and when you got so many great ball players, and we're just okay. You're next. We're gonna retire your number, Andrew. You with Salah next. You next year, and this guy the year after. And I think it's become a little too much now as a Yankee fan. Uh, you know, with these guys, homegrown Yankees, everybody says, like I was saying earlier, the core four with Jeter and Posada and Bernie and all these other guys. And I always look forward to Old Timers Day every year. And the Yankees, I think, are in 77 years of doing Old Timers Day, and nobody does it better. But I think it's gotten a little too much. And then you hear Alex Rodriguez, oh, they're going to retire my number 13. But I think it's now just a little bit, just a tad too much now. But I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. Uh, well, what more can these guys do? I mean, CC, great pitcher. He was a horse with the Indians. I say Indians. I don't care. Uh, with the Brewers, the Yankees. Not too many uh lefties out there that are. I mean, Tanner School of the Tigers. I mean, got that the kid is just incredible. But if you look back in the Yankees lore, you had your Whitey Ford, one of the best pitchers the Yankees had back in the day, and Louisiana Lightning. Ron Guidry was another one. You had Andy Pettit. You had David Wells, and CC was another good guy. And that's another thing about is pitching, and the old saying, "Great pitching stops good hitting," and that's been the Yankees' problem. Not a problem, but it's been uh, a thing that they didn't have lately. You signed Garrett Cole for that big money. You had Tanaka, another pitcher on the Yankee staff, who just went away. He never returned. And can the Yankees hold up their end of the bargain now? Going into this season, you made the World Series against the Dodgers and lost. You tied with the Blue Jays, lost the division because even though you had the tiebreaker went to Toronto, and you got knocked out in the first round. That's been the Yankees' problem since 2009 when they last won the World Series. Is they either got knocked out in the first or second round of the playoffs, and they haven't hit that high note again. And like we were talking about, the organization being up there and not picking the right players when you want to rebuild to make the big dance again the following year. Uh, And the Yankees had, like the White Sox, had great pitching
Right.
at
I
one point.
mean,
You had those
yeah.
big horses. You had your AJ Burnett. The Yankees had some good ball players. When you had uh, Mike Bucina, for instance, who came over from Baltimore. The Yankees signed him. Jason Giambi, the Giambino, as they used to call him. All these good players the Yankees signed and never got to the big dance again until they faced the Dodgers for the fourth time in the World Series. And if you fans remember 77, 78, the strike season in 81, the Yankees met the Dodgers again and just recently in 24. So it's a series that's tied at 2. If you
That's always funny. Now, here's one thing I always think of when I think of Yankees retiring numbers, and you
Mhm.
alluded to it. They're probably the team that has the most retired numbers in
Yes.
Major League Baseball.
Mhm.
Is there a point where it stops? Where I've had buddies tell me, I mean, we're gonna have a year where you have all of a sudden coming to the plate now batting 4 3/4 because they run out of numbers. Where does it stop?
I think it should already. As a fan of the Yankees for a long time, uh, and like I said, you look at that wall out in left center field and those numbers, and you got your Reggie Jackson, your Derek Jeter, your Billy Martin. Uh, number 6 was won by multiple players. So was number 9. Uh, who else? There's some number 10. And I mean, you could go on and on.
Right.
I don't think anybody would have wore 52. And I always tease it. 31 was my favorite number. And playing ball, I idolized Greg Nettles and Dave Winfield. I was a third baseman, moved to right field, and I wore 31 throughout my baseball and softball playing. Because Dave Winfield was I used to yell, that guy doesn't deserve to wear number 31, and then of course there goes Aaron Hicks, who Yankee fans they still curse him to this day, but I think enough is enough, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and I do too, and that's kind of how I feel about it. But I also wanted to tell people out there if you want to hear more of this, how this show is playing out, you can catch the Sports Mayhem Morning Show starting regularly Mondays and Fridays, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, sounds like the perfect morning show slot. Either if you're in Central Standard, like anywhere in the country, that's kind of the perfect morning show slot, which is kind of why I picked it. Because you don't have to get up at 6:30 in the morning to catch a show.
That's like I listen to Boomer and Geo in the morning. They're on at 6 to 10, and if you have the CBS Sports Network back in Chi-Town, you can see it on TV.
Yeah.
The morning show. So that's been. I'm glad you brought that up, and it's been a goal of mine since I started my baseball show. I wanted to be that you can hear me here and watch me on TV kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So it's I was fortunate enough. I've had some good deals come my way. I was on Roku TV for a little bit. Just recently, we were at Rider University Radio in Jersey on the college radio station, and they did a great job for us. I mean, the commercials they did for us, I still have them. The logo and how they did everything, and my cousin made a great thing for me with my logo. If you see my Talking Baseball logo, was thanks to my cousin, and I have T-shirts made with that on. Uh, you know, there'll be a point where do I continue doing what I love? Uh, it gets. I'm the type that I like knocking and kicking on doors to be heard. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
there are more podcasters out there now,
Oh, for
and
sure.
and where, of course, probably in Chicago as well as back here in New York, is there's so much competition out
Oh,
there.
without a doubt, because anyone can like pick up their
Right.
phone and record a podcast. But what I like about what this network is really growing fast, which is what I
Yes.
really, really love about it. And we have a great group of intelligent
Yes.
sports minds that are part of this.
Yeah, Freddie, if you're listening, Freddie, thank you, and
Yes.
I
Thank
want to
you so
thank
much.
him for
Yeah.
allowing me to be part of it. Uh, I love the group chat and how we all laugh and poke fun at each other, and it's a good thing.
Right.
And
And
and like you said, we're mayhem. You know, like they said in the movie Lethal Weapon. What are you two guys' names? He's Chaos and I'm Mayhem. We're
yeah.
gonna laugh.
Yeah. But to shift gears, I want to talk a little NFL with you, Sal. I know it's not your number one sport, but I want to talk a little NFL because a lot has been going on the past couple of days.
I know.
And we've been talking about it in the group chat, but the big thing for me today out of Chicago, DJ Moore getting traded to the Buffalo Bills. That's not what I was expecting.
It's funny how we all talked about that in the group chat, and I saw that guy from the Chiefs get let go, and I'm like, uh-oh. And I said, is this organization getting ready to unload? Is there something going on behind the scenes we don't know about? And that's always the case.
Right.
The fans are always the last to know, and when I worked security for 23 years, and I worked at MetLife Stadium, and I worked for the Eagles for a few years. And it's like behind the scenes, it's just craziness.
Right.
The amount of reporters and everybody getting their microphones in their face like this. Hey, what's going on here? And let me get back to Kansas City right now. Is it almost that time to break the band up?
Right.
Are we going to see, Kansas City missing the playoffs this past season?
Right, which I think was good for them. Let's be honest. They needed a break.
Well, let's hope Pat comes back healthy. I mean, I grew up in the days of quarterbacks of Phil Simms and all these quarterbacks around the league in Miami, in Dallas, the Bears, of course.
Right.
All these organizations who had winning formulas. And I thought the Eagles would have won 2 in a row.
I really did too, and it surprised me that they got knocked out of the playoffs as fast as they did.
You know what? There's a lot more hungry teams out there.
Right. And I think that was their big thing, was they were kind of resting on their laurels at that point in the playoffs. Like,
right.
Okay, we've been here before. There are a lot more teams that really wanted it a lot more than the Eagles did.
Well, let's put it this way. If Barkley doesn't sign with the Eagles and stays back here with the Giants, that's a great signing for the Eagles. So Jalen Hurts had so many weapons to go to besides himself. And getting Barkley, a man who can just run and just to do. Giant fans are still mad, but
the man doesn't seem to age, and that's the weird thing.
No. And there's a lot of athletes out there who don't look their age, who stay healthy. And let me just get back to that in a minute. I'm going to throw a name out there, Giancarlo Stanton.
Okay, yep.
Okay, now here's a guy who religiously gets hurt every year. And if you watch that show that I sent you with Sal from Italy, and he talked about Giancarlo, some of these athletes just overdo it when they work out.
Right.
And there's no need for it. For me and you, let's just say, well, all right, let's go hit the gym. Let's keep working on our legs and forget the rest of our body.
Which is detrimental to your body.
Right. And it's like, oh, what are we doing here? Like I was now getting back. Now, how much time does Kelsey have left before he gets married to Taylor Swift. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all waiting for that breakup to hear that number one song about him. So,
I honestly think it's coming because nothing has happened in terms of him announcing his retirement from the NFL, which everyone was assuming was going to happen this offseason. Apparently, I've heard rumors that the Chiefs are trying to get him to stay on for one more year. I don't know, but I mean, we'll have to see what happens. But I don't. Do I see? Honestly, I see them pushing back their wedding because of everything that he hasn't announced his retirement yet. Because they were supposed to have a whole summer wedding, and I just don't see that happening.
Well, his brother, of course. If you ever watched their podcast together, the brothers?
I have caught a few episodes. And
very funny. Very funny.
They are very funny. And I will say this: Jason Kelsey is a better podcaster than he is an analyst for ESPN. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
That's like you and I, okay? We're all new at this, and everybody on this network that's with us, and Freddie and everybody. And like we were saying, the competition, right?
Right.
Here, all right. Sal and Andrew, why don't you guys, we're going to fly in Sal from New York. We're going to go to a White Sox game. You guys call a few innings in the booth, see how it goes. I would love that. I mean, I
would love the dream job right there, buddy.
Yeah, that makes two of us. So it's like people want new blood. They want to hear something different.
Right.
You guys had your announcers.
Which I love Steve Stone and John Schriffen, because Steve Stone, one of the guys I absolutely idolize. A lot of people say that he's more, I don't want to say boring, but more analytical with the way he calls games.
Right.
He is, because he's the analyst. It's his job to break down the plays and analyze it.
Right. Who was the gentleman that used to say "she gone" or like that? Who
was Hawk Harrelson. Yeah, that was Hawk Harrelson. That's who I grew up with.
You see now those announcers, and we had back here, we had Phil Rizzuto, Bill White, Frank Messer. Rizzuto was the funniest Yankee announcer. It's the seventh inning, and even though Jersey's right across the bridge from the Bronx, they would tease it and say, "Yeah, Rizzuto's gone. It's the seventh inning." And they'll show a picture, they'll zoom a camera on the George Washington Bridge and tease it like, "Oh, there goes Phil. He's driving fast over to Jersey,"
Yeah.
And then, we have Michael Kay. And Michael Kay used to be on CBS radio with John Sterling. And John Sterling, of course, who called basketball. He was Atlanta Hawks announcer before he came up to the Bronx. If it wasn't for Paul O'Neill and Ken Singleton and David Cohn and a lot of these MLB ball players who know the game and how to call the game, and and like you said, they analyze the pitching and the hitting if you hear it. And I'm not a big fan of Michael Kay per se. And then you have now Susan Waldman still on the Yankee. Now, Susan Waldman, if you baseball fans know Susan from the Yankee broadcasting, how she got that gig. And I'm going to tell you how she got that gig.
Oh, please enlighten us.
Okay, now, back in the day, you heard the story, Yogi and George Steinbrenner weren't really talking.
Right, they had a big problem.
They had a big falling out because Yogi, of course, was a Yankee manager back in the early 80s, and George fired everybody. That's how he was. So after the firing, Yogi had refused to ever step into Yankee Stadium again. And so Susan Waldman, they nicknamed Georgie's girl, went to the Yogi Berra Museum, which is in Montclair University out in Jersey. Very beautiful place. She said to George one day Yogi's name, and Yogi and George thought something happened to Yogi. So she had brought those two back together, and the rest is history. And that's how she wound up getting. I think she worked for the Red Sox at one time, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong if you want to look that up. She's the one who got Georgie and Yogi back together, and hence Yogi made his way back home to the Big Bowl Orchard in the Bronx there, uh, and had a big ceremony. If you go onto YouTube, and if you folks love baseball, you don't have to be a Yankee fan. Uh, Go to YouTube and type in 2008 final game at Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium before it got closed in '08. And you watch the mystique and how many greats of the game played in the Bronx. And they announced all these players, and then they went by position and announced, who played first. You had right field, let's say. They announced Reggie Jackson, and Roger Maris's son came out, and he looked so much like his father. It was scary. And then Paul O'Neill took the field, and then they're calling all these Yankee lore out there, and it's fun to watch. I watched it again when this is not on TV. I'll put on something baseball related so I can keep up to what's going on in the world and getting back to football now. Yeah, with the Kels, with like you were saying with Jason, it's not an easy transition.
No, it's not. And if anything, I think John Madden taught us that it's not an easy transition because it took him a while.
Let me tell you
It took him a while to find his sea legs and find his broadcaster voice.
Now I know I'm a bit older, and we used to have Monday Night Football on Channel 7.
Yeah.
You had Howard Cosell and all those guys.
Right. And this is where I could say, Sal, I grew up, but I learned a lot of sports history. So do I know John Madden's early days? Do I know Howard Cosell, Monday Night Football, and how it pioneered the sport? Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, I do.
And the same guys who called Monday Night Football did Monday Night Baseball.
Right.
And I miss those days. Having baseball like that on Channel 7 or something we always look forward to, like football. You got you had your Sunday games and your Monday games. Now it went to Thursday.
Oh yeah. Now you kind of still do have Monday Night Football, but right. I kind of like how, and it's interesting you bring that up. Mark Cuban said years ago, and he admitted since that he was wrong, but he made a statement about them putting football on too many nights a week. He used to say, the famous term, figs get fat and hogs get slaughtered, saying they were putting football on too many nights and it was going to basically kill itself. And he's admitted he was wrong, but I feel like, especially with Monday Night Football now, I'm a big Manning fan. I love Eli and Peyton and that whole family. I mean, they're a great football family. Mm-hmm. I do think ESPN, the Manning cast, can be a little much. At times, do they know what they're talking about? Yes. But a lot of times it does turn into brothers jaw-jacking, which if you like that stuff, that's for you. But
yeah, I'm assuming there are a lot of fans who like the Kelsey brothers as well. The man. Let's throw it there now. Let's keep it Monday for a minute.
Okay.
And the Monday Night Raw in wrestling.
All right. Okay.
When they would get more viewership, and if you look back in the day of the ratings and how wrestling took over the ratings on a Monday night over football. And another thing is they had a live wrestling event once in Chicago. Not Chicago, I'm sorry, Cincinnati.
Okay. And
the arena drew more fans than a Cincinnati Red game. And it's crazy to say. So not only did Mark Cuban say, Thursday night, too much. I think with your streaming apps now,
right,
has become, I think, a little bit too much where we, us fans, oh, wait a minute, I can't watch my White Sox or Yankee game. It's on Amazon Prime. I ain't got Prime. Oh, I got to pay for this,
Right.
and it's become a now a money juggernaut. It's just not where we throwing the Yankees. We used to be on Channel 11. You know, the White Sox. I would imagine you guys have your own hometown
We were on
local
NBC
channel,
Sports Chicago, yeah.
right? And now, wait a minute. If MLB Network has we'll compare it. Say us Yankees and the White Sox are playing.
Okay.
It may be blacked out in my area back in New York, but you'll be able to watch it.
Yeah.
Which I don't get. Why can't we enjoy our baseball or our football locally? That it's got to be on Apple or Amazon Prime. It's got to be on. Remember when they tried Facebook baseball? They tried Facebook Live.
Yeah, I remember them trying that. I think it was a season and it didn't work out.
No, but here's the thing. Why we already pay a lot walking into a stadium now.
Right.
Like we were talking about the old ballparks then. Everything has become corporate. I as a Yankee I as a Yankee fan, I'm okay with the new stadium opening in '09. I miss the old ballpark. I miss going into the ballpark, feeling the ghost of the old Yankees. I would imagine you guys in Chicago, and the Cubs aren't going nowhere at that ballpark.
No. And here's the thing with Wrigley is it's a historical landmark. So I mean, the
Right.
Cubs will never leave Wrigley. They'll dump millions and dollars in renovation before the Cubs leave, and even then, it will
Right.
never get torn down. But my big thing, and my dad has always said this because I was born after the White Sox moved from Comiskey, so
Okay.
I never got to experience that. But I always say this: I will always call it U.S. Cellular unless I'm doing a national broadcast that I have to be correct. But the fan in me will always call it U.S. Cellular because to me that's what I always hate. Because Wrigley will never change its name. These
Right.
parks to me I feel are changing their names, and Houston just did this with their
Yep.
park because they got a new sponsor. So this is one thing that always bugs me, and my dad always said, well, they could have taken the money they used to build the new park for the White Sox here in Chicago and put it into reservations for Comiskey, and Comiskey would still be standing today.
Right.
So, and I feel like teams do that a lot more than just renovating an old park. They say, let's just tear it down and build a new one.
Well, that's if you notice a lot of these names of the stadiums of names of banks, insurance companies,
Right. Yeah.
or cell phone companies. Wells Fargo used to be the Spectrum. Wells Fargo now Xfinity Mobile Arena.
Yeah.
Yankee Stadium will always be Yankee Stadium.
That will never change.
And then you had Shea Stadium. Now it's Citi Field. I would say something else, but I'm not going to go there. Madison Square Garden will be always Madison Square Garden, and your arena out there, the United Center, I guess.
Yeah, the United Center. That will always be the United Center.
But okay,
yeah,
the Cardinals, even though they got a new ballpark, kept the name.
They did, and
Yep.
Because I think yes, the Bushes still do own the Cardinals, and we'll talk a little bit more about my interesting family baseball. I don't want to say lineage, but weird family baseball history here in a minute. But yeah, there's just certain things that just irk me when it comes to, I don't want to say owner greed, but I don't know what else to call it.
Okay, so now before the New York Giants played at Yankee Stadium, and the Jets played over at Shea before they both moved into Giant Stadium in Jersey.
Right.
Which the Yankees almost went to. If Steinbrenner didn't get a deal for a new stadium, the Yankees were going to be heading into that area. So, of course, why didn't they build retractable domes back this way? Because of the weather here in New York. In April, it's always cold. Now you're starting baseball in March. Even though the Yankees started out in San Francisco on the 25th of this month against the Giants. I think the game is on ESPN. What if you noticed? You were just talking about it. If you guys are getting a new stadium as well, I think in Chicago, right, for the Bears.
Uh, we don't know where that's gonna be. Let's be honest. And as kind of the thorn of my side, I try not to talk about a lot because we don't know if the Bears are staying in Illinois. They might be one of those NFL teams like the Giants and Jets who don't even play in New York. And let's be honest, they both play in New Jersey. So let's be honest about
Yep,
that.
you're right.
And the Commanders play in Landover, Maryland. So we're trying to find out if the Bears are going to be one of those teams or if they're going to stay in Illinois. But that's remains to be seen. But they are going to get a new stadium somewhere at some point.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stadiums that are going to be new, and if you think, I mean, the mistake by the lake, which Cleveland, and when the Indians had that ballpark and the football team was playing there, and now they're getting a new stadium, the Browns. Arenas aren't being built up as much as football and baseball.
Right.
So the only new arena recently, and it's in my old hometown of Brooklyn, New York, which was the Barclays Center.
Okay, yeah, I know I've heard of it. Yeah.
So the Islanders just got a new arena after being at the barn out there at the Nassau Coliseum for a bit. USB arena, like I'm saying, a lot of these banks now. So when MetLife Stadium first opened, it was called New Meadowlands Stadium. They didn't have a name yet. They didn't have a sponsor.
Right.
Until later on. Now,
yeah.
Probably, not probably. And if you heard a lot of complaints about MetLife and the turf. And
I've heard that players are not really fond of MetLife Stadium.
It's like
they haven't gone public on all the issues, but they say, just not one of my favorite places to play.
Okay. Ask Mike Francesa how he likes MetLife Stadium. He'll go on a rant. I've worked there for 6 years. It looks like an air conditioner in the middle of a parkway. That's what it is. And now you have your different gates. You have the Verizon gate, the MetLife gate, and all these gates are different sponsorships. Like who's sponsoring this gate and who's got this now, and Prime Coverage Sports Network. We're going to throw our name right here. We're going to be a sponsor for this area.
Oh, Freddie would love that.
Hey, you never know.
Right.
You never know.
Right.
Anything is possible in this broadcasting, stuff. You never know. Look at Keith McPherson from The Fan. Keith, I love his overnights. I don't think he's on The Fan as much. And KM to the AM, and he made a name for himself. If you ever listen to his show, he's called a couple of Yankee games in the Bronx. Hats off to him. It's something I've always wanted to do. Out here in New York, we just didn't have the Mets and Yankees. We had their minor league teams back here. We had the Staten Island Yankees, who are now defunct. They're up in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton now. Major League Baseball got rid of a lot of single A teams, if you recall.
Right.
The Brooklyn Cyclones are still in Brooklyn, which is the Mets. They built a beautiful minor league stadium out in Coney Island. Staten Island Yankee Stadium is still there. It is now the Staten Island Ferry Hawks. It's like an independent league kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
The Trenton Thunder was another Yankee affiliate. They're not there anymore. And you couldn't even get near the stadium when Jeter was rehabbing out there. It was a mess. The stadium is still going. The team is still there. It's another different league. We have the Jersey Shore Blue Claws, which is the Phillies. So we got a lot. I love, not for nothing. Minor league games are fun.
Oh, yeah, they're fun, and I'm about to. And in May, as part of a school program too, we get to work for a independent minor league team out here. Yep. So that'll be fun for me to experience as well.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, like I said, knocking and kicking on doors to get an answer. I knock until somebody does answer.
Right.
The thing, Andrew, is I'm going to tell you, we can't be afraid.
This is true.
Is the thing, and you know what? The work no is going to come a lot, and we got to eat crow sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
As this business is, and I'm doing it now since 2019. I'll keep going until I'm mostly old right now, but I'm 59. It's like this is a passion of mine. I started writing a book, and I hope I finish it in maybe a year or so, hopefully. About how baseball started back here in New York and what year and all that other stuff. I'm very passionate about this, as well as all the men and women on this network of ours.
Right.
Don't get discouraged. Just go out there and kill it. I've never went on my show with a script.
No, I don't either. What I do is I give myself like little bullet points of what I want to talk about.
Maddie,
and that's how I do it. Because if I script myself, I feel like I'm too robotic.
Right. Now, Matt Sirianni, who's part of the network, Matty Ice, I call him, was one of my co-hosts of Talking Baseball. Matt is very knowledgeable. He's a great guy to have on the network. I'm glad he joined in. You could catch him and Carl on their Equinox show on Thursdays as well. And Carl, another co-host of mine, big Philly fan. He knows this stuff as well. So when you have that camaraderie, I used to have 3 or 4 co-hosts. There were either 3 or 4 of us. Who was a Yankee fan? Who's a Philly fan? Who's a Met fan? And that all is great. I had Kevin Wall as a co-host. Kevin was a producer at WFAN. I met him, and he hopped on board, and we had a lot. If you look up the show, like I sent you a clip, all the craziness that I went through, and we eat live on the air, and who's eating Taco Bell and McDonald's, and we had some fun times, man. And just like I'm saying, you love this, you go for it. Don't, dude, you knock and knock until somebody answers, man. And I will say that to all the people here on the Prime Coverage Sports Network. There's a lot of great men and women on here. I'm blessed to be part of this.
Oh, yes.
Let me tell you something. Like I was saying, people want to hear something different.
Right. And that's why I kind of wanted to do a show that's not really structured to a specific sport. And I love that Kid Kyle Short show. I watch it every Monday night. But that show's more buttoned up. And I kind of want to be a little more loose on this show. But one thing I wanted to bring up about myself, and Sal, this might really interest you. My grandfather used to work. He was like a hotel maitre d'. Then he got promoted to a manager. Did all that. But one of the hotels had a restaurant he used to work at. A bunch of the umpires used to go there after games to get dinner. So he got to get really really chummy with a lot of the umpires. And I can't remember the one umpire's name. He just passed away. I can't remember his name, but he umpired from like the 70s to the early 2000s. And my grandfather actually knew him personally and would know these umpires so well. My family would get free tickets. He would take them to Cubs games, my mom and uncle. And one thing that irks my mother to this day, Sal, is one day my uncle got to go into the Cubs locker room and meet the likes of guys like Ryan Sandberg and guys like that. Then my grandfather went into the umpire room to have a hot dog and, talk with his buddies and all that. And my mom, being, the lady, couldn't go into the locker room. So here's my mom, like this little 9-year-old kid sitting on the steps outside while my grandpa's in the umpire room eating a hot dog and my uncle's in the locker room eating the players. And let me tell you, my mom is the bigger Cubs fan, and that irks her to this day. That really gets her. But to have that, Learned a lot of cool stuff from my grandfather, and meeting those guys, and he got to see a lot of cool stuff and a lot of cool stories that he got from those guys.
Nice. That was like my dad and his brothers. Growing up in Brooklyn. Uh, Growing up Brooklyn Dodger fans, and I used to hear my. It's funny you saying hot dog. My dad had a hot dog stand in Brooklyn, so we used to gather there when his brothers were and them were still alive, and I would sit and listen to all the stories and the plays they saw at Ebbets Field, and if I would have had a recorder and
Right.
had all this in front of me, and they saw what's his name hit the big Sal Maguli, and this guy jumped the fence, and they saw this guy and this guy. I'm like, wow, and baseball has been instilled in me since basically growing up,
Yeah,
and love it.
that's been basically sports for me. Now I'll be completely honest. The first sport I learned to play was soccer because my grandfather,
Mhm.
our family came over from Holland, so he
Okay.
he
Oh,
was a
wow.
big soccer fan growing up, and he was a really good soccer player. He actually started a youth soccer league down in Southern Illinois.
Who was his favorite player?
Oh God, I can't remember. Oh,
We had the New York Cosmos, Pele. We had Pele back here. Pele was a big name back in the day.
yeah, he had some guys, and I can't remember their names now. And I wish he was still with us so I could ask him. But
Yeah.
he was one of those guys who really kicks. I like to say my grandfather sparked my love of sports, and then my father kind of fanned the flame. Introducing me to baseball and football and stuff like that. Um, that's just been my life. I was a high school athlete. And kind of one of the things that originally got me started thinking about being a broadcaster is back in high school. I was a bowler and a thrower for track and field. And
Wow.
one of my closest friends, name is Fernando Vargas. He was a D3 college football player. We were just talking sports one day on the bus heading to a meet. And he was like, dude, you got a really good sports brain on your head, and you should really think of using it one day. so,
Yeah.
so that's one of the reasons that got me here. But that always sticks with me. And I just have some great sports memories in my life, and
Yeah, I mean,
helped get me here.
we've seen a lot, even though I don't know how old you are, but
25. So I'm still
gee,
young.
thanks, man.
Yeah. You really want to do it?
Now I feel really old. No, it's we both seen the differences in the sport,
Right.
through the years, which is baseball is generational, and you were talking about the families in sports. You were saying the Bush family. Didn't they also some with the Astros, right?
I think so, but I'm not sure. I mean, there's a
Was it
lot of
the father or son was a George, or one of them was with the Rangers and the other one with the Astros, or something like that?
yeah,
Had
I can't
something to do with the
remember.
team. I remember. And of course you got the Steinbrenners.
Yeah, really big powerhouse there in New York.
I mean,
I don't think they'll ever give up the Yankees.
uh, the son is not the father. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
George,
A
if
lot of
George
people say the father was a little more
George
and
is gonna
they
break. George is gonna break through the wall out in left center field soon if this team doesn't turn around, getting back to their winning ways.
right.
Yeah,
And let's talk about this for a sec because
go ahead.
I want to end this teaser episode kind of talking about the World Baseball Classic because that's
Mhm.
kind of the new event that's just started.
Let me
But
tell you something. It's if you look at all these ball players on these teams,
right.
Team USA, you got Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper along, and wedged in the middle there is Aaron Judge of the Yankees. And you don't want these guys to get hurt.
Right.
Somebody
That's
just
the
got
big
hurt.
thing.
I think somebody got hurt the other night at second base, or was it today? Going for a ground ball.
Yeah, I think there was an injury because I think
Yeah.
Korea played the Czech Republic, I think it was today.
So was it Vargas? Somebody. Well,
Yeah.
I want your opinion on this. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay, shoot.
Do you like the DH in the National League?
Okay, I do, because if I'm an American League team like the Yankees or the White Sox, we still do go over and play National League teams, but it's not as frequent, right?
Right.
And
Which I think
if our pitchers are used to not picking up a bat in the American League, and then all of a sudden they have to pick up a bat for 2 games, 3 games, it's really going to suck. And which is why I think they made it the universal DH rule, in my opinion.
I like it for the simple fact, and a lot of people, National League fans, don't. I said, why wouldn't you like it? Because me as a pitcher, I'm saving myself from hitting a ball, and now I got to leg it out. What if I tweak a hamstring, break an ankle, get injured somehow? So you're basically saving your starting pitcher by doing that.
Right.
And I like that. And I also, and I'm happy you brought out the whole, we don't play the National League. When I do my opening day special soon on my show, me and the guys will look at the schedule, and you can find an old clip about it, and how I didn't like the fact that I have to. Well, now we didn't play you guys till September of this past season.
Yeah, I mean, that was weird.
Now listen up. Why would I want to see a division rival in the Orioles 13 times in 2 weeks? Why must I play that team 13 times in 2 weeks? I want to know how and why Major League Baseball does these schedules like that. We touched upon it, like I said in the show. Let's say your White Sox are home. Okay?
Right.
Now, I got to come to New York, which is here. I'm headed towards my right.
Okay.
So now go to Florida. Let's say I got to go back down, make a pit stop with whatever these road games are. It's if you look at your schedule when you get off the air, go to your White Sox schedule.
Okay.
Look where they play, and look and think of a map in your head, and go, wait a minute, why are we going all the way out that way again when we were just there?
Right. And I think that's a big thing that's been called into question these past couple of years, is
right
how you play a team for 3 games, then the next week you're playing them again for another 4. I mean, that's been a big thing, but
there is enough, and they touched upon expansion. And a lot of fans, I want you to go back when there was no Central Division. When it was the Yankees, Indians, Red Sox, Orioles, Tigers, and Brewers used to be the American League East. The Brew Crew was once an American League team, now a National League team, where the Astros were the same. They were National League.
It used to be a National League. In fact, that was the team the White Sox took down in 2005. So there's been restructuring as early as the early 2000s. So,
and they keep talking about restructuring the divisions now, when you already have 2 Texas teams in the Rangers and Astros in the same division.
Right.
So the Atlanta Braves at one time were a National League West team before moving to the East and basically taking it away from the Phillies and Mets. Everybody knows the history of the Hotlanta Bravos, as we call them. If whatever team you like, when Andrew and I get off the air, look at your home team, look at that schedule, think of a map in your head and go, wow, these guys travel like crazy. And we don't get that West Coast swing like we used to. When you were out there for about a week, when you played the Mariners and the Angels and now I guess the Vegas A's, whatever they're going to be called.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to. I just call them the Athletics for right now because you really can't call them the Oakland Athletics because.
Well, there you go. That's a shame that a city can't hold any professional sports.
I was about to say, now with the loss of the A's, Oakland has now lost every single professional sporting team that they've had.
Something needs to be investigated out there. I hope there's an expansion in my time.
I really do too. I hope there's an expansion because they're good cities in my mind.
The last two teams we had were the Rockies and Marlins, and I remember those back in the 90s when they both started. When Charlie Hayes was a Rocky and came back to the Yankees. And if you watch all those teams the Marlins is another team who won 2 titles in 97 and 03, dismantled both teams, and then, like I said in the group chat, you had that outfield. You had John Carlos Stanton and the other 2 guys, I can't think of their name, and one's a Brewer. And they had one of the best outfields in baseball, and then the whole organization just went.
Oh no, you're right. And one thing, because I wanted to talk the World Baseball Classic to end this, Al, is one thing I've always been thinking about since the start of the Classic, and Team USA has a lot of New York connections, not only with Aaron Judge being the captain, but also Mark DeRosa as manager. And now we could both say we have connections to the Team USA manager because DeRosa spent some time on the north side of Chicago as well.
Yes. Yes, he
did. What does that mean? And I know what it means to Chicago fans to have someone like that managing Team USA. What does that mean for New Yorkers, being that DeRosa's from New York? He's from the area, and now he's managing Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. And what does it mean for Yankees fans having Aaron Judge as that team captain?
Sells a lot of jerseys, that's for sure. It's like it's all about marketing too. We as a network, we get out there and market this network and promote it the right way. You're gonna get a lot of people watching, so it's all about marketing, promoting. And here's how you could throw a name on there, and I touched upon this, and when I worked with the Phillies in the team stores. I don't know how it is in Chicago, but back this way at Yankee Stadium, Stan Sports World is I could go with the stands and buy one of your Chicago White Sox. Who's their top player?
Right now, in my opinion, probably would be Colson Montgomery.
Okay, let's just say he's a phenomenon, Montgomery.
Right.
I can get his team jersey back here in New York. Stan Sports World sold, and they still do, I believe, jerseys of the most popular players out there, like Ohtani, Manny Machado, and some of the other guys. Now, if I'm marketing something, and you and I own a team,
right,
and we're at a state, we own the stadium. We're gonna, what are we gonna put in the team store today? Well, Ohtani and Judge are coming into town. Let's sell Ohtani and Judge stuff.
Right.
In the team store. They don't do that there.
No, they don't. Most will do in Chicago, and I still can't believe I'm saying this. And I've asked people that work there. Rally House, which is a national company. They're all over the country.
Yes. We have a few out in Jersey, yeah.
They sell here in Illinois, the Chicago area will sell Packers stuff.
Right.
and I always go up and I ask the people working there, I'm like, do you ever get people that want to literally burn that stuff when they walk in the store? Because in Chicago, that's like an ultimate slap in the face.
That's Madison Square Garden.
The Yankees selling Red Sox gear.
Well, that's even at Madison Square Garden, in the Garden, when you walked up into the lobby, they have one of the biggest sports stores in there. They're not there no more. I think they moved across the street. But you went in this store, football, baseball, hockey jerseys of all different name players, the famous guys, and you wouldn't have an issue finding somebody. So somebody must have heard me and made up a T-shirt of Bryce Harper and Otani on it just for that weekend. But let me tell you, when say the Dodgers come into Chicago, I don't know if they're coming there this year, but let's just say that, and you're going to get people from Japan, and it happens that come into town. They follow these guys. Why wouldn't you want to sell something with a man's name on it, or have who was a big Mark Burrell, right? He was one of the White Sox.
Mark Burley, yep, Mark Burley,
and he
just got his statue at the park.
Screwed out of that no-hitter. So why wouldn't you sell, like, if he was still playing, him and Otani on a shirt together? Like, what's his name is on the mound and Otani batting, saying matchup of a lifetime kind of thing.
Right. And that's something I feel teams don't take advantage of anymore.
Right.
It's gone to what I like to say the cookie cutter marketing, which is what marketing should not be.
Right.
But to end to this teaser episode, Sal.
Yes, sir.
The World Baseball Classic. Some people like it, some people hate it because they say it takes away from the guys in spring training. Some guys get injured, and we've alluded to that earlier in this episode. Do you think that it should be more watched over, as in regulate how much players are playing, especially those that have to go back to a major league team?
I'm glad you said that. They do that in the All-Star game, right?
They do, yeah.
Okay. Now, my main player being Judge, and you guys, let's just say whoever from the White Sox. I wouldn't want my main player to get hurt. Is it in their contracts that they can only do so much? Lately, these guys, and we're going to talk contracts, which I don't think Juan Soto was worth that much money. I'll be honest.
Oh no, and I'll be the first to admit that I totally agree with you there. I think sometimes these teams spend way too much on what they think is an all-star player, and they end up not being that caliber of a player. But that's just my opinion.
And we're going to talk about that. Uncle Stevie for a second was like home. Uncle Stevie, you promised Met fans a 5-year cushion when you took the team over. You bought all these guys over. Scherzer, Verlander, this guy, that guy. You fired one of the probably best managers in baseball, and Buck Showalter. You gave Buck a year. We, as fans, it's the manager's fault. It's this guy. We have to blame the ball players as well. If you're not playing up to your potential, it shouldn't be the manager's fault. The manager, like you and I, can only do so much, right?
Right.
And it's now, okay, we told these guys what to do. Now it's on them. This is how it should go. And I think the World Baseball Classic isn't bad. Now we're going to get these guys in the Olympics. And do we want our top guys there?
Right.
And
or do we want to broaden the search outside of the MLB?
I think with the two faces of baseball, and Otani and Judge.
Yeah, let's be honest. Those are the two faces of the MLB. Some people will say, it's time for those guys to take a rest, but they are the faces of the MLB. And I'll be the first to admit that.
And do we want these guys to go play in the Olympics now? Because that's their juggernaut. That's their moneymaker.
Right.
And you look at these rosters, not just USA. You got Italy. Jorge Posada is one of the coaches in Italy. and Team Canada and all these other teams, you look at the star power in a lot of these teams, and who's the dark horse? It may not be Team USA. It can be somebody else who's got a better pitching staff. But I think they should treat it as an all-star game. And, okay, give me my 2 innings next. Pitcher 1 inning and a half next. And Ohtani's not going to pitch, and that'll be a big mistake if he does and gets hurt, because then the $1 billion Dodgers, and which is a ridiculous amount of money for a team, payroll of $2.1 billion.
I feel the Dodgers are just something needs to be investigated there.
They were the first team in 25 years to be a repeater from the Yankees. And could they be the first team since the Yankees to three-peat?
I mean, they've always been that thorn in the Yankees side. I've always said this. I feel like the Dodgers are being unfair to the rest of the league when most of your secondary guys are as good as most guys' starters. There's a big problem there.
Yes, and will this cause a lockout next season?
I think it could.
And I will tell you this, and I lived through a lot of strikes and the scab players, if anybody recalls that. I don't think baseball is going to wind up bouncing back that fast if we do have a lockout. There's going to be a lot of problems if it does. I don't see a lot of fans coming back. I think a lot of fans had enough of the BS that's going around.
No, and I always allude to it, and I always say this: if Harry Carey were still broadcasting today, let's just say he was, he wouldn't even be broadcasting, because he would hate the fact of all these teams having their own streaming services and making fans pay to watch a game, because that was his big reason for leaving the South Side of Chicago. They were moving to Sports Vision, and he did not want to have fans pay to watch him call a game. He felt like that should be free for the viewing public.
The Yankees were the first major league team to have their own network. The S Network was the very first in baseball for a team's own broadcasting channel. Then the Mets, of course, with SNY, and so on and so on with other teams. Like we were talking about, I think the World Baseball Classic is nice. Don't get me wrong. It's going to make money, not just here. It's going to make money in Tokyo. Look, like we were talking in the beginning, Tokyo, 40,000 people on a work day, on a weekday where people work and go to school. Fill that stadium up.
Right.
And it's sad that we can't get anything like that because of the weather. We don't have dome stadiums, so they play in Houston and wherever.
Yeah.
I wish I would have caught that. It would have been nice. I think it's a fun exhibition. I hope Team USA wins, but there's a lot of other good ball players on these other teams. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I really am.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. I'm really excited to get started with you, Sal. And Monday.
And so am I. Yes.
Monday will be our first official episode. I want to warn people that they are pre-recorded episodes. It's just the way it works best for the two of us, that they're pre-recorded episodes. But they will be going out as lives on Monday and Friday mornings from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yeah, make sure everybody, you have a lot of coffee in you.
Right. Right. And I'm excited to get going, and I'll say it now. We're going to cover all sports at all levels. Not really going to be a scripted show. There are going to be breaks in there, even though there wasn't a break here tonight, but we're going to throw some periodic breaks in there to give us two a rest while we're doing these shows. But one thing I like to say, all levels. So like I said, Sal, if I see something from a high schooler that makes national news And I saw it a couple days ago where they had a team manager for basketball, a team literally make a 3-point buzzer beater.
Wow.
And watch the team, this whole high school bleachers like just emptied and Maldives, but it's like cool stuff like that. Like, yeah, if I see it, we're gonna call attention to it because why not? So, but that's gonna be our little show here, and I'm excited and ready to get it going with you, Sal.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for hopping on with me tonight. Because it's Thursday night for us, so this will be going out Friday morning. But hope everyone has a good rest of their morning that are watching this, and good rest of your day. Hopefully you enjoyed your morning, starting off your morning with us, and it was great spending time with you, Sal, and can't wait to see you on Monday.
All right, folks, this is Sal. This is Andrew. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you soon.
Yes,
Have a great
we
day.
will.
Yeah, hey, drop.
Prime Coverage Sports Network. Real coverage, real conversation.